IRS would no longer exist. If the fair tax were the law of the land, we would all take home 100% of our paychecks.
Yeah.
The fair tax is a single-rate federal retail sales tax collected only once at the final point of purchase of new goods and services for personal consumption. Used items are not taxed. With the fair tax, you are only taxed once on any good or service. If you choose to buy used goods, a used car, a used home, you do not pay a federal consumption tax. You decide what to buy and how much to spend. You decide whether or not to buy a new or used car. You decide to build a new home or buy a previously lived-in home. Ultimately, you decide if, when, and where you will pay any federal income taxes. A couple of questions should be asked at this point. Why would anyone buy a new item and thus be taxed on it when they can buy a used item without paying the tax? And how would the Fair Tax Act continue being revenue neutral if everyone, or even the majority of people, bought only used goods? First, I'll ask you a question that may help us understand the answer. Did you know that corporate taxes, small business taxes, and small business owners' personal income taxes, and the cost of complying with these taxes, along with paying taxes on business-to-business purchases, currently makes up more than 20% of all retail sales prices? According to Dr. Dale Jorgensen of Harvard University, hidden income taxes are passed on to the consumer in the form of higher prices for everything we buy. Under the Fair Tax Act, business-to-business purchases for the production of goods and services are not taxed. If, as a business owner or a farmer, you buy something strictly for operational purposes for your business, you pay no tax. During research for the fair tax proposal, a major retailer with stores throughout the country, the name of which was held in confidence by the researchers, said that if the fair tax became law, the price of their products would begin to immediately lower due to the lower tax liability of the company.
Yeah.
We all know that as their prices lower, competition due to our free market will lower all the prices. This brings me to believe that if you buy a new car or a used home today, you would continue to buy new because the price of these goods will stay approximately the same. Basically, a $10 item will still only cost $10. A $100 item will only cost $100. Love this wind. To ensure no Americans pay taxes on necessities, the Fair Tax Plan provides a prepaid monthly rebate or a prebate to every household in America. This, along with several other features, is how the fair tax completely untaxes the poor and lowers the tax burden overall. The prebate is paid in advance in equal installments each month. The size of the prebate will be determined by the Department of Health and Human Services poverty level guidelines. This is a well-accepted, long-used poverty level calculation that includes food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and medical care, along with other things. The following examples of prebate payments are based on the national average. Actual payments would depend on state-to-state guidelines. A single-person household with no children would receive a monthly rebate of $199. A single-parent household with one child, $268. A couple living in a house without children would receive $399, and a couple with one child would receive a prebate of $468. These prebates increase as the number of people in the household increases. Can the fair tax be passed into law? grassroots movements have effected significant changes in our nation's history. A grassroots movement can change our current tax system. Americans for Fair Taxation is working to build a grassroots movement and grassroots alliances to support this effort. This grassroots movement will only affect change when the American people rally behind the effort and demand ratification of 96 years of an oppressive tax system. One of the themes here today is to get involved. Please go to fairtax.org. On the first page, there is a petition to sign. There are petitions here on the table. If you can sign those today, that would be appreciated. And just remember that it's your involvement that matters. Join your local political movements, run for office, and by all means vote, because that's where they will hear our voice the most, is at the ballot box. I want to thank Donna for allowing me to bring this message here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I have to quote from one of our founding fathers. Any people that would give up liberty for a little temporary safety deserves neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. Our next speaker, Cleo Duncan, has been District 67 State Representative since 1994. She is ranking Republican member of the Roads and Transportation Committee and is on the Financial Institutions Committee. Cleo is married to John Duncan and has 3 lovely daughters. She's a lifetime Indiana resident and 26-year Greensburg resident. Please welcome with me State Representative Cleo Duncan.
Actually, it's been, I think the update is, 39-year resident of Decatur County. But I wanted to let you know that Congressman Mike Pence came to the State House on April 15th. He was not allowed to speak. However, Mike sent his speech that he was going to give to the legislature. And it basically is his great concern for the cap and trade bill. It would hurt Indiana especially tremendously because, let us go on. Under the guise of protecting the environment, the so-called cap and trade bill would increase taxes on every American who uses any form of energy and would have a devastating impact on the Indiana economy and Hoosier taxpayers. It should be called a national energy tax. Washington politicians love it because they can claim that they are taxing polluters when in effect they are actually taxing middle-class American families. In a recent article, the Wall Street Journal pointed out the unjust burden this proposal would have on Indiana. The article states, but the greatest inequities are geographic and would be imposed on the parts of the U.S. that rely most on manufacturing or fossil fuels, particularly coal, which generates most of the power in the Midwest, Southern, and Plain states. Coal provides more than half of U.S. electricity, and 25 states get more than 50% of their electricity from conventional coal-fired generation. Bottom line is, in Indiana, we have a virtually unlimited supply of coal. We have authorized the building of clean coal technology plants, which would enable lots of people in Indiana to have jobs, but to also produce clean coal technology, which will not only create so many more jobs, but will also cut down on any kind of pollution as well. My concern right now that I see happening